This is the Hiking Through Life podcast. We've all been gifted a journey called life. Let's see where the journey leads us today. Welcome to the Hiking Through Life podcast, where we talk with people who in some way, shape, or form have been influenced by the outdoors. I'm Andy, the producer of this podcast, and my lovely wife Sarah will be your host. Together, we make up Hiking Through Life.
This podcast is all about bringing all kinds of people who are inspired by the outdoors and sharing their stories.
We hope that by sharing people's stories, it inspires others to get out and live a more meaningful life. Tune in every week for new episodes, or better yet, subscribe to the Hiking Through Life podcast on your favorite podcast provider. If you enjoy this podcast, please share it with others. Also, if you have a story to share or know of anyone who might be interested in being a guest on this podcast, head on over to hikingthroughlife.net/podcast and get in touch with us.
If you'd like to support Hiking Through Life, you can go to hikingthroughlife.net/shop. We have t-shirts, water bottles, and we recently added stickers to the shop.
Use the code podcast at checkout and receive 10% off your first order. There are other ways you can support this podcast as well. You can check those out at hikingthroughlife.net/support. Also, be sure to sign up for our email list. You can do that by heading over to hikingthroughlife.net. Enter your email address and click subscribe. There's no commitment. You can unsubscribe at any time. As part of our email list, you'll receive our monthly newsletter. We'll also be sending out any promotional codes for Hiking Through Life gear. It's an excellent way to follow Hiking Through Life's journey. Now sit back and enjoy this week's episode.
Welcome to the Hiking Through Life podcast. Today we're joined by Leo, Brielle, and Jasmine. They're here from an organization called Hike for Mental Health, and they're going to tell us all about the organization. I first heard about the organization last summer when a friend, Allison, was through hiking the Lakes to Ocean Trail and raising awareness for Hike for Mental Health. So I'm familiar with it, but I'm always excited to talk more about it and share it with our listeners. So without further ado, let's learn about Hike for Mental Health, and welcome to our podcast, Jasmine, Leo, and Brielle.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. All right, so can you guys just tell us what is Hike for Mental Health?
Sure. This is Leo. I can answer that. So Hike for Mental Health is an all-volunteer, nonprofit organization that we founded just shy of 10 years ago. We're excited. We're coming up on our 10th year anniversary next year. And it came together when three people who didn't know each other from completely different walks of life and careers and ended up stuck in the same hotel in Hasbrouck Heights, New Jersey for very different jobs for a period of months. And over those months, Tom Kennedy and Nancy Kozanicki and I ended up hanging out together because we had nothing else to do being stuck in Hasbrouck Heights, New Jersey. And on weekends, we would go for hikes. During the week, we'd go out for movies and dinner. But we just got to know each other and realized that we were all at points in our lives where we wanted to give something back to the world for the good things that we've received. We had a common love for hiking, and we then all realized that we had close family members who battled major mental illnesses. And we saw the effects that had on them. We saw the effect that the stigma of mental illness had on limiting their life choices a lot. And we realized that a lot of the reason we were all hiking was for our mental health. And so we thought, what a great way to bring together things that we love and things that are important to us. We formed an organization called Hike for Mental Health to help encourage people to get outside and hike for their own well-being. And then we also use it to do fundraising for brain and behavior research and trail conservation.
Awesome. So it started 10 years ago from just three people.
Yes, somewhat by accident, you might say, although maybe there was a reason we were all there. But yeah, we had no intention when we went there of doing any of this. And then 3 months later, poof, there it was.
And how many people are involved in this organization now?
Well, if you count all of the folks that participate in our hikes, all the volunteers who are part of planning that, we're talking literally about thousands. We've had just last year, we had 300 just with our Hike October program. We had a similar number with a big hike up in New Hampshire last year as well. So yeah, we've got thousands of people across the country and even outside the country who join in with some of our events.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of ways to get involved. And with October coming up here, you guys have this Hike October event. So is that one of the biggest events that happens, this Hike October?
It's really been growing. I think I'll let Brielle maybe talk a little bit about Hike October and how that's evolved over the last 3 years. It's also kind of a miracle story of starting from scratch and almost nothing and a great team coming together and just growing. So maybe Brielle could talk about that.
Hey, sure, I could talk about Hike October. So this is my third Hike October and I believe our fourth annual. So we've only been doing this for 4 years so far. And what we kind of like to say about this year is Hike October was made for 2020 and we were kind of made to Hike October. So that being said, Hike October is definitely our largest fundraising campaign. It's virtual in its essence throughout the month of October, and people from, as Leo mentioned, all over the country and even all over the world come together and hike their own hikes anywhere. It could be an urban hike, it could be back in the mountains, and then they count these miles towards our campaign and have people sponsor them to raise money towards our main causes, the brain and behavior research and also trail maintenance.
So if someone wanted to become involved in Hike October, can anyone go ahead and do that?
Yeah, it's super simple. Right through our website, you can Google Hike October or visit us on Facebook and Instagram, and it's free to sign up, free to join, and then you can log any of those miles.
So you log the miles and then the money gets donated. I think you mentioned 3 organizations. Is that right?
Yeah, so our 3 organizations that 100% of our proceeds go towards are the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation, which is one of the leading experts in research in mental health. Also the PCTA, which is the Pacific Crest Trail Association, and the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, the ATC.
And this is the whole month of October?
Yeah, the whole month, starting real soon.
Cool. And is there a certain amount of money that you're looking for people to raise, or is it just any amount?
So this year, our goal is $10,000. I believe last year that was also our goal. And Leo, how much did we end up raising last year?
A little bit better than that. Yeah, it was over $12,000.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, all of that goes directly towards our people that we support.
And just one thing to add to that, though, we do encourage everyone to try to get to at least the $100 mark in their fundraising. It's a fairly achievable goal, and everybody who does will be sent a Hike for Mental Health hiking shirt as a token of our appreciation. And then we love to see the photos get posted with people out hiking with their Hike for Mental Health bright orange shirts. They're great for fall hiking where there's hunting in the area, but they're just great in general. So it's wonderful to see people posting pictures with their Hike for Mental Health shirts.
Yeah,
Awesome.
those hike shirts are real conversation starters too. That visibility when people are like, what is that bright orange t-shirt you're wearing? And it helps start the conversation about mental health, which is, what we're here for.
Yeah, that's totally how I started the conversation with my friend Allison. I didn't even know her. I met her when she was through hiking a trail here in Minnesota. And she had this torn up bright orange shirt. So that's exactly how the conversation sparked. It's her go-to hiking shirt. So
we did offer to replace it, but she wouldn't give up the ragged one that she'd been hiking hundreds of miles in.
It has so many stories behind it. That's funny. So you guys know Allison personally?
I know Allison. Yeah,
Okay.
She joined us a couple of years before you did the podcast, and she was hiking with another friend for a while. And then she, I think when you met her, she was hiking up north. Well, you said in Minnesota, I think.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about how you, Brielle, and Jasmine got involved in the organization? How about Brielle starts out?
How did I get involved in the organization? Well, so I guess the simplest answer is through my partner. So he's one of the founders of Hike October. Him and Leo kind of had a brainchild and Hike October happened. And yeah, so 3 years ago, I saw there was a need for someone to kind of pick up the social media and be a little bit more involved with it. So from there, I kind of just caught on and never stopped.
So you're kind of the person behind the social media magic?
Yeah, the three of us kind of share that. So myself, Jasmine, and Kristen, who's not here with us today, are the main minds behind our social media.
Awesome. And Jasmine, how did you become involved in the organization? Oh, looks like she's frozen.
Looks like just unreliable network there. One of the
I think so.
dangers. I will say on Jasmine's behalf, she was of the group that we have right now, I think the newest to come and join us, and has just brought a huge expertise around social media that has helped to propel forward, and just super creative on the team with ideas as we're brainstorming how we want to message and how we want to share Hike October. And there we go. Do we have you back?
Yeah, I switched to my phone. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Internet is not always our friend.
Definitely not, especially when you need it the most, like right now.
Right. So Leo was just saying you bring lots of creativity and new ideas to the organization. What else can you say on that?
Well, I will say that I am the newer member of the Hike for Mental Health and Hike October team. I really just had a strong interest in working with the social media team with Brielle and Kristen, just because that was something really familiar that I was really familiar with. And I have a really strong interest in like design and just reaching out to people, because when I first came across Hike October, it was through the ATC Instagram page, and I just saw this giant orange square that they reposted, and it really caught my eye. And I sort of just fell down this Hike October rabbit hole and just wanted to do anything I can to help. And yeah, just wanted to contribute in any way, and just really thankful to be surrounded by a great team that I'm learning a lot from.
That's awesome. Like everybody brings all their different strengths to the team, and all of you are in different areas. So have any of you ever actually met up in person for a Hike for Mental Health?
We've never met.
We haven't. Actually, I've kind of been making a plan. Now you're going to out me. I've been making a plan next year, because it'll be our 10th year anniversary for Hike for Mental Health. We're making a plan of trying to figure out how to get everybody together. But this year's been a little bit different than other years in terms of social gatherings, for sure. So I don't know what we'll end up doing. But no, we've never met in person.
That's kind of cool how there's like so many people that are part of your organization. And I'm sure there's like a group here that has met and a group here that has met. But since it's like growing, it sounds like each year, there's no way everyone's ever going to meet.
Well, and I think the virtual nature of Hike October too, maybe it's appropriate that we haven't met in person, because part of the whole idea that Braden and I had behind Hike October was, we plan these group hikes around the country that are physical hikes. Small groups of people get together, we do hikes together. But we get calls all the time from people around the country saying, is there a Hike for Mental Health near me? And we're a totally volunteer organization. So sometimes the answer is yes, but a lot of the time the answer was no, we don't have a hike plan near Dubuque, Iowa. And so Hike October was this idea of, hey, everybody everywhere can be part of Hike for Mental Health throughout the month of October. So it was meant to be virtual in that sense. So maybe it's appropriate that the team that organizes it has never been in the same room together.
Yeah. And why the month of October specifically?
Well, I think I could answer that, because I was there with Braden when we talked about it. A couple of reasons. One, it's a hikeable month across most of the country. It's still warm enough in the north and cool enough in the south that you can get out and hike. If you go too much earlier towards the summer, it was 100 degrees here in Houston like 3 weeks ago. And so everyone stays in the air conditioning. It's too hot to be outside. You wait too much later and it starts to get cold up north. So we thought it was an accessible month for most of the country. And also most of our organized hikes during the season tend to fall kind of between spring and fall. And by October, they're starting to wind down. So it just seemed like a great way to wrap up the hiking season for us, with everybody can join from wherever they are.
I love that, because fall is definitely one of my favorite times to hike here in Minnesota. I mean, we have the leaves changing. I don't know if you guys have the gift of the leaf changing where you are.
Not so much in Texas, but I grew up in Vermont, so I do know about fall leaves.
Yes.
I'm a little behind too.
So if people aren't able to get out in October for what other reasons, what other volunteer opportunities are available to people for Hike for Mental Health if they wanted to become involved?
Sure. Yeah, there are lots of different ways, and a lot of it depends on the skills and interests of the folks who want to join. We're obviously always looking for hike leaders around the country. So those would need to be experienced hikers who have a love and a desire to share their love for hiking with others, want to create a great hike experience. I think a lot of the reason that we've grown the way we have is we create these very welcoming, open hiking environments so that people feel comfortable. We're not providing any kind of therapy or counseling. Sometimes people ask us with Hike for Mental Health if that's the case, and we're not. We're just organizing the hikes because the hikes themselves are therapy for people. But I think also getting together with other like-minded folks who are going to be accepting of differences. A lot of times on our hikes, we'll be hiking along and somebody will, you start to spread out on the trail a little bit. So now you're in twos and threes and somebody will say, I've never told anybody this before, but, and then you hear a story about a struggle they've been having with mental illness or a family member that they're trying to support or a friend. And the heavy stigma against mental illness just keeps a lot of people isolated, keeps them from being able to get support and help that they need. Like I said, our hikes are not therapy, but I think they are therapeutic for a lot of folks. So we always look for hike leaders who are going to bring the right sensitivity and the right attitude and lead great hikes for us. That's one way to get involved. If you're not up for leading a hike, we're an all-volunteer organization. Sign up for a hike and join one. That's part of being part of Hike for Mental Health. That would be awesome. We're also always looking for help sort of behind the scenes with social media, with content development. If you've got a gift for writing or a creative streak, we always love photography. We always need photographs that we can use. Some people like to take photos as they hike. So there literally are tons of ways for people to get involved, and we just talk with each one and kind of find where the intersection is between their interests and our needs and opportunities. Honestly, that's how Hike October started. When Braden first reached out to me, we talked about 4 or 5 different things, and and I said, Braden, we've always had this idea of doing this virtual kind of hike, but we've never had anybody to lead it. And he just stepped up and started organizing it and getting a team together, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and I love how you said, it sounds like anyone can be a hike leader, and those hikes give a lot of people opportunities to start opening up and sharing a story. And that's kind of the magic of the trail.
It is. We get a lot of first-time hikers as well sign up for hikes because people who haven't hiked before sometimes want to go with a group the first time. So we get a lot of people introduced to hiking, and we talk about leave no trace, and we talk about responsible hiking. We're part of a larger assemblage of outdoor organizations, Recreate Responsibly, that tries to spread the messages, and especially this year with how to be outside and how to be outside together safely.
So if it is someone's first time out on the trail, do the hike leaders kind of take that into consideration when learning about the people who are coming on their hike? Do they plan easier hikes for those first timers on easier terrain?
When we put the hikes together, the way we promote them, we describe whether, if they're suitable for first time hikers and sort of what kind of physical shape you might want to be in if it's your first time out there. We usually do it in terms of staircases. If you can hike 3 staircases without stopping and still be smiling at the top, you can do this hike, or 10 staircases or 20. So we try to create something that people haven't hiked before can relate to. And it's not a perfect system, but it works pretty well.
Awesome. So is there anything else that we're missing as far as Hike for Mental Health? Any other big volunteer opportunities that you guys are looking for people?
I think we're always looking for some outreach coordinators. That's something that we pushed a lot last year, just trying to find people to help us spread the word. Sometimes that could look like sending some cold emails, sending, some messages, getting out and seeing people, connecting with people, and just spreading what we have to say and getting more people involved with us.
Awesome. anything else about Hike for Mental Health? Any personal stories that you guys wanted to share about Hike for Mental Health and how it's personally helped you guys out at all?
I guess I can talk about how I came across Hike for Mental Health before I ended up volunteering. When I came across Hike for Mental Health, I was actually living alone out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And if anyone's familiar with that area, it really truly is in the middle of nowhere for certain parts. And it was the first time I was truly just on my own since college. Because, like, in college, you're living with people, then living at home. But it was just me, and it was definitely took a toll on my mental health and just went into not the greatest of headspaces. And then, slowly as I started making a close friend at work, the one thing we had in common was wanting to go out hiking. And so we just almost every weekend just started getting closer and then going out hiking. And then during that time, I discovered Hike October, and it was literally in the middle of October that I discovered it. And so that just encouraged me to just go hiking even like after work. And I suddenly had like this intention with every day, instead of just being like, okay, when is this day going to be over? Or just feeling really down and not in the best mental headspace. And then I just really wanted to just be involved, because if something so simple as just this task to just keep hiking really helped me, metaphorically climb out of that really dark headspace, then I know it could benefit a lot of people, and it's a great resource. And I'm just really excited to keep learning new ways to contribute to my Hike 10 mental health and to Hike October, and just help people that feel like they can't get out of that headspace, and that hiking really is that resource. Because with it comes this just amazing community of people that have so many incredible stories to share, and really have a commonality of like hiking just makes them feel good, whether it's on the trail, just walking around your neighborhood, or in the park, like just being outside and just surrounding yourself with nature and great people is just a great way to, get yourself feeling better.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I love that you said it like gave you an intention to just like go out each day and get yourself out of that headspace, because the outdoors can totally do that. Anytime I'm feeling like bogged and down and just need something different, I just go outside and take a walk even, and I'm like, wow, I feel 10 times better now.
Absolutely. And I think it's I could be corrected, but I think it's like an hour and a half or something spent outside, like changes your brain, your mentality, to feel better, to just have like these endorphins released and better your mental health. And yeah, and for a lot of people with mental health challenges, just getting up for the day, is a big task. And I definitely feel like I've been there, as a lot of people have, and having that intention, like I said, to get out and to hike with a purpose really was a big motivator.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. It's always good to hear how people get involved in those types of organizations on a personal level.
And I think I love what you said, Jasmine. And I think a lot of us just need kind of a nice kick in the pants sometimes to remind ourselves. Because when we get in those bad places, at least for me, I can say, when my instincts, when I get in those bad places, it's usually because I'm super busy at work, I'm super stressed, and I like hiking and getting outside. That's like you kind of push that aside and grind out the work or whatever it is. And so I think something like Hike October that kind of gives us a reminder throughout the month of, get out, hike, log your mileage. Help us get to our mileage goal. Every mile there's going to add up. Kind of it's just a reminder, but not a guilt-inducing reminder. And maybe that's the difference. It's a pleasant reminder of let's get out and just do something. And for a lot of us, it definitely includes me. When I need it most is when I try to when I'm less likely to do it. So having that external reminder is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally a reminder of just what the beauty of the outside can do for our physical and mental well-being. It's huge.
Yeah, and I think sometimes going off what both of you said, it's when you're in one of those headspaces, it can be hard to do things for yourself and to have that motivation, like, okay, this hike isn't just for me. It's for fundraising, it's for research, it's for conservation, and framing it, at least in my mind, that way has been helpful. Like, okay, this hike is more than just me.
Yes, yes. Like you're raising awareness about the whole mental health stigma that is out there in our society.
And if you're out there in spite of it or in addition to it, it's like, yes, I have these things that I struggle with, and I'm out here anyway.
Yes, yes, exactly. I love that.
It's actually one of the things I love about our hikes, because unlike a lot of other fundraising walks or hikes, there's no cost to join. They're all free to be part of. And we ask people to create their fundraising page and share it, but there's no minimum requirement. We know there's some events, you have to raise $600 to participate or something like that. That's not the case here at all. And the reason is just getting people out hiking is also part of what's great. And so if all you do is come out and hike and don't, you're not motivated by logging your miles or raising money, that's okay, because you're still getting out and hiking. And so it just gives people a lot of different ways for them to participate with whatever story is important to them.
Yeah, I saw on the website there's a lot of different fundraising pages that people have started. Can people go on and start those at any time?
Yeah, well, for Hike October, it's wide open, so anybody can go in and sign up for Hike October. If they want to hike at other times of the year, we have kind of an open sign up process for what we call a hike your own hike. So it's not signing up to do a group hike with us. It's just something you want to do on your own, and it doesn't have to be a specific day or hike. It could be my 2020 hiking plans or something like that. And people will sign up for that. We had a woman a couple of years ago who was planning to do a series of 4 or 5 hikes in Arizona, as I recall. And she created a page around that and talked about the different hikes she was going to do and posted updates as she did them, shared those with her friends. It was great to see and kind of watch her work her way through her plans for the summer.
Yeah, because I see there's so many different fundraising pages out there. So that's really cool that everyone has a different hike that they're doing, kind of like Allison's. Hers was a trail that I had actually never even heard of.
Yeah. And even if you're hiking individually, you still have that community aspect to Hike for Mental Health and Hike October. And that's something that I really enjoy about it. Like Jasmine was saying, sometimes all you need is, that community to feel connected to.
Exactly. And not even a community face to face, like you guys were saying.
Mm-hmm. Which works well for 2020, right?
Yeah, that is the 2020 theme. What is the website for Hike for Mental Health?
Yeah, so for Hike for Mental Health, it is just hikeformentalhealth.org. They can find Hike October on the homepage there, or they can also just go directly to hikeoctober.org and get right to the Hike October page.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming on and talking about Hike for Mental Health. And I hope everybody gets out there and hikes October.
Thank you, Sarah. It was really fun to talk with you. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to share Hike October and Hike for Mental Health with your listeners. Again, if anybody wants to sign up, just come to hikeoctober.org, and it's free. There's no cost. There's no pressure. You can do your own thing, but be part of something bigger. So in 2020, it's a great way to be connected when you can't be as connected as you might want to be in other ways. So thank you very much, Sarah. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
We've loved doing this podcasting journey. We love bringing awesome guests on. We love seeing that people are listening. And we're really, really grateful that this is hopefully inspiring other people to get outdoors.
Yeah, and as part of our mission at Hiking Through Life, we really want to help support others in continuing their journey or starting their journey into the outdoors. So as part of that, we have plans for future episodes to address some listener feedback. So if you have questions about backpacking, hiking, adventuring outdoors, let us know. Email hikingthroughlife@gmail.com and submit us your question or topic, and we'll possibly address it in a future episode.
You've been listening to the Hiking Through Life podcast. Peace, love, and hike through life.